A Celtic defender is absolutely buzzing for a teammate who's having a breakthrough season. We've got major transfer news involving a striker who could be on his way out this summer, plus injury drama as a goalkeeper's situation gets messy, and a top target's agent has finally spoken out about a potential move. It's been another dramatic day at Paradise, but first make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel for more Celtic content. Celtic defender Kieran Tierney didn't hold back when it came to young HyunJun following their comeback win over Motherwell. Martin O'Neill's side were a goal down after half an hour and looked flat for spells, but they found a way through. The gap to Hearts is now down to 2 points, with the split closing in. Yang was absolutely central to it. 2 goals, both taken brilliantly, both arriving exactly when Celtic needed something to shift the momentum. It took him to 8 goals for the season, a return that would have felt unlikely not so long ago. Last summer, he was actually close to the exit. Permission was granted for him to travel to Birmingham City, bags half packed, only for the move to collapse late. Celtic kept him, and at the time it felt like a loose end rather than a turning point. Now it looks completely different. Tierney was quick to highlight that shift and the level Yang has found this season. He said, "He's been brilliant. I think this season, the consistency that he's shown, the amount of games that he's played, and the effort that he puts in is unbelievable. I think if you go and you look at the numbers side of things and see what he's producing every week, it's unbelievable. He got his reward, and I'm buzzing for him. There has been a clear change in him. Last season, Yang drifted in and out, never quite trusted, never quite imposing himself. This year, he looks sharper, more direct, and far more willing to take responsibility in big moments. Even during the more disjointed spells earlier in the campaign, he was one of the few attacking players offering any sort of threat. That has carried right into the run-in. Celtic needed a spark against Motherwell, and he provided it. Not just the goals, but the energy and intent when others were struggling to find any rhythm. It leaves an interesting question as the end-of-season awards approach. Player of the Year might be a stretch given the names involved and the weight of expectation that follows others in the squad. But Yang has played himself into the conversation. A few months ago, that would have sounded absolutely fanciful. Now it feels completely earned. Now for the main story, as Celtic are set to consider the idea of selling striker Johnny Kenny this summer. The 22-year-old is currently out on loan at English League One side Bolton Wanderers, but an influx of summer transfers is expected to force him even further down the pecking order at Parkhead. The boys are set to be faced by a major decision regarding the youngster's future as a result, with sources indicating that they could look to sanction another loan deal or even a permanent exit for the former Shamrock Rovers man. Celtic's transfer plans involve a significant overhaul of the playing squad to go alongside the appointment of a new manager ahead of next season, and that could potentially see Kenny on the chopping block. Celtic view a new striker as one of their major priorities for the upcoming summer transfer window, as they have struggled to find consistency from their current options so far this term. Midfielder Benjamin Nygren is the top goalscorer for Martin O'Neill's side in Scottish Premiership action, while none of the options at the top of the pitch have even broken into double figures so far. Kenny managed 4 goals and 2 assists from 15 league games in the first half of the season before he was shipped out during the winter window to make way for the loan additions of Thomas Kvankara and Junior Adamu. He has since notched 4 goal involvements from his opening 6 games for Bolton, but his form for the Trotters may not be enough to save his long-term career in Glasgow. Celtic appear set to be ruthless in the market this summer, and as a result, it looks increasingly likely that Kenny will be heading elsewhere once again. The boys learned that they will need to pay at least £5 million if they want to prize Claudio Braga away from Hearts this summer. The Jam Tarts frontman has been one of the breakout stars of the Scottish Premiership this season, with his return of 12 goals from 30 league games only bettered by Nygren and Motherwell's Tawanda Mzwanhais at the moment. That has seen him attract interest from Celtic in the second half of the season, but Derek McInnes's side are desperate to keep hold of the 26-year-old, who is also understood to be happy at Tynecastle. Celtic's admiration for the Portuguese is clear, but it would take a lot of persuading and a significant outlay in order for them to make him their starting striker for next term. In other news, Denmark manager Brian Riemer has moved to draw a line under the noise surrounding Celtic goalkeeper Kasper Schmeichel's fitness, but the situation remains completely muddled. The Celtic goalkeeper went public on Friday with details of a shoulder injury just hours after returning to training at Lennoxtown. It followed suggestions from former Celtic manager Martin O'Neill that the 39-year-old could be back in the squad for Saturday's visit of Motherwell. That never lined up with what Schmeichel was saying himself. Speaking in Denmark, the keeper made it clear he is facing 4 to 6 weeks out, ruling him out of Denmark's World Cup playoff clash with North Macedonia. It has led to questions, particularly back home, over how the situation has been handled. Former Celtic midfielder Thomas Graveson called out a lack of clarity, but Rima was quick to shut that down. He told Bold, Kasper is a goalkeeper who has played 120 international matches for Denmark and has been a huge part of the Danish national team's history over a very long time. He is probably the one I know who has the biggest and most bleeding heart for Denmark, so it is natural to ask that question. But as I would do with any other player, our conversations are, of course, a private matter between me and them. That is also the case in this case. What I'm dealing with is that Kasper is injured, and everything that concerns his injury in Celtic, I'll steer the questions that way because it's none of our business. We are focusing on the players we can select and the players who will perform for us in the upcoming session. Rima is keeping his distance, and you can understand why ahead of a big international tie. Still, it does little to clear up what has already been a confusing few days. If Schmeichel has not been fully fit since Stuttgart, and injections have failed to sort the issue, the mixed messaging does not reflect well on anyone involved. From a Celtic point of view, the picture is simpler. Viliami Sinisalo keeps the gloves, and the run of games continues. There is already a sense that this is more than a short-term stand-in role, and that will only grow if he continues to look as assured as he has so far. Lastly, it has been that kind of season at Celtic. We are already at the point of weighing up Player of the Year contenders, and no obvious winner is staring back. No one has properly grabbed it and held it. Benjamin Nygren is the standout on paper. 19 goals tells its own story, and without them, Celtic would be looking at a far worse position. Kieran Tierney has gone from strength to strength since his return to Glasgow. HyunJun is one name that has crept into the conversation, quietly at first, but with more weight now after the weekend. The winger scored twice in the 3-1 win over Motherwell, a result Celtic badly needed. In doing so, he also became the highest scoring Korean in SPFL history. It says a lot about the season that Yang is even in this discussion. 12 months ago, it would have sounded far-fetched. Journalist Mark Hendry believes there is a case there. Speaking on Celtic News Extra Time, Hendry said, even when Wilfried Nancy took the gig at Parkhead, the Frenchman's ill-fated disastrous reign did trigger a resurgence of sorts for the South Korean. The 23-year-old appeared to flourish in the tailored position of wing-back turned attacking wide player, and he performed better under Nancy than he had since he arrived. Even since Nancy's exit and Martin O'Neill took centre stage, Yang has gone from strength to become one of the club's best performers in what has been a poor campaign thus far. He has 8 goals and an assist this term so far, and is, unthinkably, one of the front-runners for the club's end-of-season Player of the Year award. That turnaround has not come from nowhere. That's all the latest Celtic news for today. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and drop a comment below with your thoughts. I'll see you in the next one. Hail, hail.